who's next? Yeah, who's next? Who ride a greyhound all night long, standing long around?
Welcome to the C.L.I.M.B. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. You do not want to be the artist with a whole lot of talent and no audience at a record label these days. That is a curse, not a blessing, and that's what this show is about. We're here to help you create leverage in the music business. Is why we called it The C.L.I.M.B. Our genius wordsmith put that together, C.L.I.M.B. And let's introduce you to the boy. It's my good friend and co-host, Brent Baxter. Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Antebellum, Joe Nichols, and more. And the cool part is Brent helps songwriters turn pro by teaching the art, the craft, and the business of songwriting. And you can find Brent at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. It's an innovative artist development company. They help you find your sound, and they help you find your audience. Two things you just might need. Not only do they develop and improve your artistry, they also grow and monetize your fan base, creating cash flow. Yeah! Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S, because there is only one singular Johnny D. What's up, brother?
How you doing, man?
I'm just working on my intro skills, and it's failing miserably, but, you know, I'm getting better some weeks than others.
Aren't we all?
Man.
The struggle is real.
I know. I had a guy ask me today, he's like, dude, do you ever do writer's nights? I was like, you do not want me behind a microphone, except on the podcast, and even then only about half the time.
And even then it's a roll of the dice.
Even then, it just depends on the day.
Oh, I think you do fine behind the mic on the podcast, but I don't want to hear you sing. You're right about that.
Thank you. Yeah, you don't want to hear that.
So, hey, man, what are we in for today?
That's right. It is one of my episodes where I get to drive this little happy school bus here. And we're going to talk about this one we're calling When You Confuse the Listener, You Lose the Listener. And so basically, you know, when you confuse the listener, you lose them. And the scary thing is you might be confusing and losing your listeners without even knowing it, which is kind of scary.
Some good tricks in to straighten things out.
We're going to try and help you realize if you have a problem. Okay. So that's what this one is. Help you realize if you're confusing and losing and not even knowing why.
Gotcha.
But first
we have another amazing review, 5-star review here. And hey, I want to thank everybody for the 5-star reviews and for all the great words. They keep coming in, and that helps us get to more people. So that means the world does. Take a couple minutes if you haven't done it already. Leave a rating and review. And before we forget, because sometimes we forget, join the C.L.I.M.B. community online. We had a whole throng of people come in, which was awesome. Just go to Facebook and search for the C.L.I.M.B. community. Request to be brought in. We'll bring you in. And all kinds of cool banter back and forth, and ask any kind of marketing questions you want to ask. And there's lots to be, lots to be learned there. It's a good, and you got to be a good boy and a good girl. You can't be obnoxious, or you will be shown the door. That's
right. And speaking of which, I was just checking it before we got on here, and I saw that we have a new person, I guess, in the C.L.I.M.B. community. They must be new because they dropped in. We're like, hey, here's so-and-so's new single. Check it out on Spotify. I was like, oh, sweetheart, you're new here. Might suggest you listen to the C.L.I.M.B. It'll help you out.
Strike one.
Wink, wink.
I think I saw it too. But
I know. I was like, oh, do I publicly shame? But yet I don't want to run them off because I want to help them. So you came to the right place. You came into the doctor's office sneezing. You thought you were there to get your tire changed or something, maybe sell them something, and you're sneezing. You're like, oh no, we got the cure for that. Come here. Let me give you some Kleenexes. Let's go back to the room. We're just going to give you a little shot.
Yeah. And what episode do they need to listen to? Stop ruining Facebook episode. Yeah.
Yes,
start there.
So God bless.
Start there. All right. So here's this 5-star review. It is a 5-star review. It's called Walkin' and Talkin' with Treeper the Reaper by Trapeau. I got a fever, and the only prescription is for more cowbell and the C.L.I.M.B. Blue Oyster Cult would have been top of the charts much longer if they had this kind of info from Johnny and Brent. The C.L.I.M.B. will keep your band together, make your songwriting better, and help you understand the marketing behind Will Ferrell's half-belly sweater. Much appreciated, fellas. Well, that was awesome.
I'm so glad you always get these reviews. That way, I get the ones that are written in English, and you get those. That's awesome. So
in English,
that's
funny,
great.
Man.
I will see Will Ferrell's half-belly sweater the rest of the night. Thank you very much.
Yeah, right. I'm going to go to sleep thinking about that, and it's going to give me nightmares.
And you read it without tripping up. That's awesome. But yeah, seriously though, thank you for the 5-star review. We appreciate it. We're just thankful y'all are listening and sharing.
Yep. And share. Yeah. By the way, I mean, the stuff, y'all like the stuff, please put it out there. It'll make you cool. It makes you cool when you share really good stuff and it helps somebody else out. And they're just like, wow, thanks for turning me on to this. This is amazing. And that's what we all want to be after all is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me how not to confuse and lose, Brent.
That's right. All right. Well, okay. So when you confuse the listener, you lose the listener. But your first thought might be, well, does it really matter if the listener gets a little bit lost or a little confused by your song, right? What if it's hooky and it has some cool lines? Isn't that enough? No. It is not enough. No, it is not. Now, if you're a successful signed artist or you're working with the artist, you might have some wiggle room on the whole clarity thing, right? Or if you're an artist in a different genre, I mean, I tore up, or some rock, like I tore up August and Everything After by the Counting Crows, like when I was in college, wore that CD out, like Mr. Jones and Long December. No, Long December is on a different record. But anyway, so, Perfect Blue Buildings and Omaha and all these songs, wore them out. No idea what Adam Duritz was talking about.
Dude, I thought it was just me. I thought I wasn't cool enough to get it.
Well, I mean, we could very well be in the uncool boat, but I don't know what he's talking about. But it moved me. There'd be like a line or two in there that would still move me, and it hit me in the place I was living at the time, But it was more abstract art. That's the way I looked at that stuff. It's more abstract art. I see brushstrokes. I don't see a portrait of something, but it still moves me. Whereas country music, especially, is more concrete art. It's portraits. It's landscapes. It is what it is. Whereas some other genres can be more abstract, impressionist, that sort of stuff. You can get away with some. And also, Counting Crows dude, he wrote his own stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, man.
Like the Joni Mitchell thing,
We kind of brought this up, like on a side point in another podcast where we talked about Phil Collins' Susu Studio. What the hell does that mean? Like in pop music, it's almost like rolling off the tongue is more important than whether or not the dots are connecting on the story, right? And especially when you consider the fact that Phil Collins wrote Susudio and that Adam Duritz wrote all the stuff for the Counting Crows, he gets to do whatever he wants to do as long as he's compelling. But, if you're going to be a pro songwriter in country music, you don't get to do that because... No. But if you might be a songwriter listening to this that is an artist, so you've got to sort of factor in your wiggle room there, because you can definitely get away with stuff when you're the artist. Then, one of my favorite records was, man, did you ever get into Mother Love Bone, Brent?
I didn't. No.
Oh, that was like Pearl Jam before it was Pearl Jam, and I like them much better than Pearl Jam, but with Andrew Wood. And if you ever heard the Temple of the Dog record, that was all written by Chris Cornell about Andrew Wood because they were roommates. And,
okay.
But I mean, he had that kind of weird, welcome to the Temple of the Dog. Like he had weird lyrics, and it was all kind of trippy, and it was all trippy
Nirvana
and weird
stuff. And I remember a thing with Michael Stipe. It might have been on like VH1 Storytellers back in the day. He was talking about like he had trouble remembering the lyrics to their stuff for a while. There's a certain period of REM's stuff. He's like, because they didn't make any sense. So he had trouble remembering them on stage.
Yeah, he's too busy trying to bash General Electric for for stuff that he shouldn't be bashing for. But I digress. Sorry.
Yeah, but so anyway, so your mileage may vary depending on genre, depending on if you're a compelling artist. If you're freaking Michael Stipe, you can sing about stuff I don't understand, but it's still compelling. Yep. But this is what the sweet spot of what I'm talking about here is if you are an outside writer looking in, trying to get cuts. So if you're doing that, you really need to communicate clearly, and especially in the country world. And this for a couple of reasons. One is just the amount of gatekeepers your song has to get through to get recorded.
Yeah.
And so it has to go through an A&R person. It has to go through a producer's assistant, people at the labels, and all these people, and the artist. They all have to hear it, and really the first time they hear it, be moved by it. And so something's got to grab them enough to get that second listener even listen through the rest of the song. And I think when you confuse, you take a big risk on losing them because the artist wants to, embody this character, this event, this situation, whatever's going on in the song for 3 minutes at a time for the rest of their careers. That's what they're hoping. This is for a career song. Mm-hmm. And if they don't really know what's going on, there's going to be an emotional disconnect there. So it really does matter. And I've been in A&R meetings, pitch meetings, take my song in. And I remember this one several years ago. I mean, it's been over 10 years now. It was on my first publishing deal, and I took this song in called You Can't Cheat on a Memory. I wrote with Lane Turner. Ooh. I think it was just me and Lane. But it's a cool song. It's, it's country, kind of Texas country thing. And, he's talking about, he's dancing with this girl, and he feels like, I can tell that you feel uncomfortable, like you shouldn't be here with me. But girl, you can't cheat on a memory. It doesn't have a heart to break, all this stuff. It's a cool idea. But I remember, I felt good about it. We demoed it. My publisher loved it and everything. And so we demoed it. And I took it to this pitch meeting, played it for this person. And the A&R person, turned it off like partway through the chorus or something. Was like, I got a little lost in the first verse. Uh-oh. So they were done. They were out. Now, whether it was really written confusingly or not, it was to them.
Yep.
So I can't argue with that. A different day, maybe they'd have heard it different. But that day, I got a little lost. Next. Moving on. Oh. So I've had that happen a couple times. And sometimes it's just the day they haven't had their coffee, which means you go back later. If you believe in it and you know it's well written, you keep trying. But that's just an example of showing you confuse, you lose. All right? So that song did not get past first base on that day because they got a little lost in the verse. It happens. We move on. But so, getting a song on an album is hugely competitive. And, having your song be a little confusing may be just enough reason for the artist or the label or whoever to turn it down and for it to not make the record, or for it to maybe make the record if you're really lucky, but not be a single. It's so competitive. Your song's going to be going up against somebody's whose is clear. And if it's clear, it's probably going to be more memorable because the artist knows what's going on, so they can remember the story in it and the emotion. And so it just may be more like, I can remember that one better. Let me just do that one because I can sing it better. I know it better if I'm going to be singing live. So a couple of reasons. Yes, it does matter, especially the water I'm swimming in, which is country music. So, and also, if the song somehow makes it through the gatekeepers and actually hits the listener's ears, the artist plays it out live, or you get on the record or something, or even if it is released as a single, let's say somehow it makes it through, it is not going to be as successful as it could have been. It won't connect with the listener's emotions as deeply as it should. So if I'm having to decode what's going on in your song, or ask myself, what just happened? Or, okay, what are they singing about? I'm up in my head. But that's not where my emotions are. You want the listener to be in their hearts, not in their heads. So it's kind of like, you're at a movie and all of a sudden you see the boom mic drop into frame. You're like, wait a second. It takes you out of the moment, right?
Yeah.
You see the puppets or you see the strings on the puppet kind of thing. You see, you lose the magic for a minute. It's kind of like that. You're having to, in a way, step out of the song to try and get meta on it and understand, wait, okay, how does this fit together? What's going on here? Instead of just being in the moment, being along for the ride. If you're confused, you tend to get moved from your heart back up to your head. There ain't no money in your head. The money is connected to the heart. Okay? So if you don't connect emotionally to your listener, they are probably not going to connect financially with your song.
Yep.
All right, because that's the thing. That's what music is for. Most music, especially commercial music, is not to give you an intellectual experience or exercise. This is not the escape room where you're trying to figure out clues and figure out the song by the time it's over. It's not usually like that. It's about a moment creating an emotion. And if I'm confused, confusion is not the emotion I want to go for in my listener.
No.
That's not, they go like, oh, I'm so confused. Let's stream that again. Not really what we're talking about. So, it's important to keep the listener in their heart and not get hung up in their heads through, confusion, through lack of clarity, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Same thing's true with marketing. I mean. Oh,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you're not getting that message across,
clearly,
when you're marketing the artist, if Celine Dion had come out with her first record and she looked like Guns N' Roses, that wouldn't work. That would wait, what?
Am I scared of you?
Is she beautiful or is she a gutter rat? I don't know.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah, and that matters in so many ways. Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel. What's my call to action? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to feel? I'm not sure.
I'm prepared to take your direction. I just don't know what the hell you're telling me to do.
No, you're telling me to jump or lie down.
You're telling me to feel, yeah.
Exactly. So, but, I'm sure that you might be like, okay, well, why in the world would anyone write, record, and pitch a confusing song? Thing is, you've probably done it, or you're probably doing it now, and you just don't know it, okay? Because that's the scary thing about it, is you might not even know your own song is confusing. You listen to it, and it makes perfect sense to you. You read the lyrics, makes perfect sense to you. But your listeners kind of do the, cock their head to the side thing and look at you like, huh? If that's the case, your songs just might suffer from the curse of knowledge.
Right. Knowledge.
I know. Knowledge. Didn't sound like a curse, right? You think knowledge is a good thing. Well, it is a good thing, but only if you put the required amount of knowledge into your song and don't keep it all up in your head and don't share it. So basically what the curse of knowledge is when you know what happens, you know the story behind the song. Maybe you're telling a true story. You lived it, so you know it. Maybe it's your co-writer's story, or maybe it's a story you're making up in your head, but you made up so much of it that I was listening to an interview with a songwriter about a song. I can't remember what it was, but they said there were like 3 extra verses in that song that they whittled down to what became the hit. They're like, we know what color the girl's eyes are. We know what hometown she grew up in. Like, they had the whole story lined out. They didn't put all that in the song, but they put enough of it that we knew what was going on. We didn't need those other details. The curse of knowledge is when you know all these details, the backstory, all this stuff, but you don't put enough of them into the story. You leave too many of them up in your head, so when the listener hears the song and they don't know what all is in your head, they only have what you put on paper and what you recorded, they're confused. You haven't connected enough of the dots there for the listener. They aren't you. They don't know what's in your head. You're not there to explain it to them before the song. It's just has to stand on its own. So the curse of knowledge is, well, it looks clear to me. Well, yeah, because you have other information in your head. You have half the dots in your head, half the dots on the page, so you can connect them all and make the picture. You only have the dots you put on the page. And so we can't make that picture. Or we may come out with a completely wrong picture or an incomplete one, and we're frustrated. That makes sense, Johnny?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is there some kind of exercise or trick or mental instrument that you use to double check that, to make sure that most of those dots are on the page and not up in your head? What's the litmus test for that?
I do one-on-one coaching.
Okay. No, but I mean when you're writing. No, right?
I'm just playing. I mean, I'm not playing, but I'm joking. So, yeah, there are a couple of things you can do about that. So, because it's really the curse of knowledge, what makes it suck so hard is that for the listener is it's like making them listen to one half of a phone call. Like, have you ever been that, your girlfriend's in the kitchen or whatever, you walk in and she's on the phone, she's like, oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, that's amazing. That's terrible. And first of all, you tell your girlfriend to get off the helium. But anyway, she's like, oh my gosh. And you tell her to stop smoking. But you're like, what? And you're standing there, right? And you're trying to make eye contact, like, What's going on?
Yeah, what's happening? What?
Who's sick? Who got married? Who's pregnant? Who's both? Whatever, you know?
Do I need to be alarmed? Or can I go back and watch football?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's frustrating, right? You're like, come on, get off. Give me something. Give me mouth. You know, go, it's Cindy and she's pregnant. Something I can, you know.
Right.
And they don't. You're just waiting for them to hang up so they can explain to you what's going on. That's what it's like when you have the curse of knowledge and you're writing your half of the conversation in the song and the listener is not privy to the other voice on the phone. Because the other voice on your phone is the one in your head that never made it to the page or to the recording. It's frustrating. And we hate it. Okay,
and the difference is in your example, like it's your girlfriend or a significant other, and it's somebody that you care about, so you're interested in finding out. But with your song, nobody will be interested.
No. And even with like my wife, I'll be like, "All right, I'm out. Whatever. You tell me later. I'm out. I'll go turn the TV back on or whatever.
Yeah.
If it's important, she'll tell me later. I do that with your song. I'm just not ever coming back to it because your song can't call me later. Walk in and go, "Oh my goodness, the best news!" Right? So, okay. So basically, it's you're leaving out vital pieces of information your listener needs in order to connect with and understand your song. So, okay, so how do we overcome it? Getting to your question, Johnny. I think sometimes it helps to put the song away for a while and just come back to it with fresh eyes and ears. Right? Give it some space. So if it's a story you're making up, or if it's something you just went through yesterday, you let those feelings cool. You stick it in the drawer for 2 weeks, and you come back and you listen to it, and just see like, oh, this makes sense. And you try to get some distance. Yeah. So that's one way to do it. Give it a fortnight, okay? So, which I'm bringing that word back.
I know, it's like, yeah. Justin Timberlake's bringing sexy back. You're bringing Fortnite back.
Bringing Fortnite back. Yeah, baby. Awesome. Yeah, and bring the archaic phrases. All right, so that's one way. All right, give it the fortnight. And the other thing is just practice. You write more and more songs, and you just keep asking yourself, is this all the necessary information? Or is all the necessary information on the page? Like, is everything here that needs to be here? Am I following my line of thought, what is actually being said to the listener? And you just kind of pick it apart as you're rewriting or as you're writing. It can still be tricky, though, to catch the curse of knowledge. Even playing it for your friends and family may not be enough. So, maybe because they know you, they'll know what you're talking about. They know, I don't know, Mandy that you went to prom with, and they know what a basket case she was. And so when you talk about it in vague terms, they're like, oh, yeah, I know. You're talking about Mandy. Or they know how great, Sherry was and whatever, and her nickname for you. So it makes sense. So there's that kind of stuff. They may be in on the inside joke, right? Or they're just nice. And they tell you it's good because they're nice and they don't know what else to say, right? Right. Or because you drove the truck that the tailgate, which they're sitting on in the field, and they're scared you're going to drive off and leave them. Oh, dude, that's so good. You're
saying they have an agenda?
Or even if they're able to tell you what it's about, like, oh yeah, that's about blah blah blah. Even if you go, hey, just listen to this. Tell me what it's about. Tell me what happened. Just tell it back to me. So I know if it's clear. They're able to tell you that stuff, get the gist of it. They may not know those small confusions, be able to point out the small confusions, which would be a cut killer on a professional level. So they maybe go, oh, yeah, that song's about, your girl broke your heart and she drove off in your car, at prom. And, but they may not be go, yeah, in the second verse, the second half of the first verse, there's this thing here that kind of threw me, but I stuck with it, listened to the whole thing because you're my buddy and I got the gist of it. But there's some things here and there that kind of confused me. They may not point those out because why would they really if they get the gist of it? But on a professional level, just like the A&R meeting I had where they turned it off because I got a little lost in the first verse.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to be able to do that for you.
Are there some common things that writers do that create the potholes for confusion?
Why, yes, Johnny, there are. and I'll do these quickly because we're our times are flying. But one thing might be just too many characters. You got me and my girlfriend's mother, my girlfriend's sister, and my brother and his best friend, and it's got too many people going on that you're name dropping, and
right,
it's just too much going on, right? So like too much story, too much action going on, where I'm like, whoa, I missed one thing. What happened? Wait, what? Like those heist movies. We're like, whoa.
Yeah.
So how did they get into the vault in the first place? Wait, what?
I just had to wait for a second. What happened?
Yeah, I went to the bathroom. What happened? So those kind of things. So you got to be careful with too much story, too many players in it, too many characters. Another thing might be confusing pronouns. So one thing I try to avoid is like two she's in a song. Like I'm singing about my girlfriend and I'm singing about my ex-girlfriend. She's great, but she sucks. She's great, but I don't miss her anymore. I don't miss her anymore because she's great. Wait, who? What? Yeah, you got to like little things like that. You got to watch out for.
Two she's.
Saying, well, one of you is going to be an I, and one of you is going to be a she. I'm going to sing the I to my current girlfriend because she's the one I'm still talking to. I don't know why I'm telling her about my old one, but still, like you are great. She's terrible. You are great. I don't miss her anymore. That clarifies things who you're talking to. So I try to be careful about that. If you got two he's, two she, and again, it's kind of a too many characters thing as well. So there are ways you can streamline that. Time jumps. If you don't set up that, between the end of the chorus and the second verse, 5 years have passed.
Right.
And now you're going off to college or something. Like, whoa, what? And I'm having to kind of, recalibrate the pictures in my head. I still saw them as a, 13-year-old little girl, and now she's going to college. Okay, different picture in my head. Okay, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that takes you out of the song. And then while you're kind of recalibrating that picture or whatever, kind of redoing all the information in your head, you might be missing the next line, which is something that you needed to know. Now you don't know how they got in the vault.
Right. Now you're screwed.
Nice thing. Right. What else? Of course, the curse of knowledge is a thing too, just where you just leave out details and stuff that's important, and also unclear emotions from the singer. I mean, there are just songs where maybe you can't pin it on exactly what it is, but you're like, they sound happy, but I think they're talking about something sad. So sometimes that can, I'm not sure how to feel. I'm emotionally confused a little bit. You sound happy, but you're telling me you're going to punch me in the face, but you're smiling. Did I run? Do I hug you? What are we doing?
I hear that a lot in amateur songs, man. Like that whole thing where I'm just like, wow, it's not clear, what we're supposed to feel.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're feeling, so I don't know what I'm feeling. Like there's one time Emily and I were, she was asking about something. She was wanting to do something, and I didn't want to do. And so, I kind of sent like a jokey kind of text back. And I was like, boy, this could go wrong. But it might make her laugh or it might make her mad. I'm not sure where she is and what kind of mood she's in at the moment. And she just, typed back a ha-ha. I was like, I'm not sure how to read that. I'm like, is that like a ha-ha? Oh, you witty boy that I fell in love with. Or like, ha-ha, you're on the couch.
Like I'm,
yeah, like haha, I'm smashing all your Don Williams records as we speak. I don't know. Thankfully, things have never gotten that bad. But that kind of, you're like, there's ambiguity there. Like, ooh, am I nervous or am I just happy that I'm made her smile and hopefully we're moving past this little disagreement? We can just shove it under the carpet with all the other stuff. I don't know. So things like that. So there are just a plethora of ways you can, confuse your listener.
And typically, if you could put a twist in a song or something, I mean, I'm thinking about Carrie Underwood's Two Black Cadillacs. Mm-hmm. Isn't it usually one line and it's right at the end, boom, you don't really know what's going on until the very last line, and then it takes that twist where it's all dark, it's all crazy, everybody's hurting, and it's like, no, we got over on him, like something like that. Usually it's not. I think if you try to get to it too quick, then it gets weird. Yeah,
or if you try to drag out the suspense so long that it just becomes confusing, where they're not intrigued, they're just confused. Because I'm trying not to give it away, but I'm trying to draw it out, and I'm trying to, on purpose give you misinformation, give you the red herring, the whatever. Yeah. That stuff can mess people up too, because I try not to do, I've written those last line, oh my goodness. But I try to write them in such a way that it's fulfilling and clear the whole way through. Even if you don't get that big aha at the end,
right.
If you turned it off right before, then you'd be like, that's a cool song. I get it.
Yeah.
No, you thought you got it.
But you didn't.
But here's another thing that then you get it all over again, right?
What had happened was you get it all over again.
Exactly, in a whole different way. So it's kind of like, almost like this Sixth Sense. He has this cool ghost story. This kid sees ghost, and if you turn it off 5 minutes before the end or whatever, you're like, man, that's a creepy story. That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because the story went up there the whole way.
Exactly. It didn't wait for the twist to save it and make your whole time worthwhile, because people don't sit to that.
That's right.
I mean, they don't even do it for 3-minute songs. You're not going to do it for a 2-hour movie. So I like to build them where every step of the way it's interesting, and maybe you think you know where you're going and you're good with that, and then we hit you with the whammy like, oh my goodness, glad I didn't leave early. It makes you see it a whole new way. I want to listen to it again. How many people went to go back to the Sixth Sense because they wanted to catch all the clues they missed? Like, I got to see that again. Wait, what? Or The Prestige is another good one, a Christopher Nolan thing. That's a good movie. That's got one of those killer endings. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. So I try to not backload all the cool stuff in those kind of songs.
Yeah.
And, and another way, a big way to overcome the curse of knowledge is we're talking about, your mama and them and your friends and stuff may not be the best ears. They're good ears. They're better than no ears. But the best ears are the professional ears. And I just want to tell you about something we got coming up here at Songwriter Pro. You want to hear about it?
Yeah.
So it's time for the Play for Publisher event again. Ooh. It is time again. Do these about once a quarter. And we're doing it again. This time our guest is Dan Hodges from Dan Hodges Music. He was the guy behind stuff like Good Directions for Billy Carrington, and our buddy Jason Wilkes writes for Dan. And so he's a Music Row producer, or publisher, I mean. And he's going to be our guest in September. And it's coming up September 18th. So Monday, September 18th is the next time we're going to get together. So what you can do is if you want to find out details, you go to giftfrombrent.com. You can download my free ebook, and they put you on the Songwriting Pro Insiders list, where you get all the information about how it's coming up, how to enter your song, where to go to do all that. That's really just the best place to go. So even if you're listening to this in the future, like I said, I basically do these once a quarter. So if you missed the one with Dan, I probably have another one coming up. Go ahead and download giftfrombrent.com, get you the free ebook, and you'll hear about the next one that's coming up. But it's your chance to get your song heard by a legit Music Row publisher, one that's in the business, getting cuts, has writers, the real deal, and then get some feedback on it and see, like, is this confusing? Is this not confusing? It's really competitive to get your song heard. Dan doesn't listen to everything, but we go through, we kind of weed stuff out, pick the ones we think he's going to like the best. So giftfrombrent.com, check it out. Be watching your email, you get all the details.
And you've had some, you developed some relationships in the past with that between writers and publishers, right? Who are like, I like this writer, I like this, and
yeah. It's after one of them, one of the publishers was like, man, I think I might have a spot for that one song. Like, I think I might have a pitch idea for that. I'm like, cool. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah.
I was talking to another one the other day, a different publisher I've had as a guest. He was like, yeah, there's that one guy that he called me up about something. I was curious to hear more about blah, blah, blah. So they it's a way for them to become a little more familiar with you, hear a song. It's where you have their full attention. They listen to the whole thing. You get to interact a little bit, get some FaceTime. It's online, so no matter where in the world you are, you can join in. We've had folks come in from Australia, online from Australia. I think Canada, Nashville, of course, different places around the U.S. So it's cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
So it's a chance to in a virtual room with a publisher, have them listen to your whole song, give feedback, and ask a follow-up question or two. It's really cool. So giftfrombrent.com, or you can check out songwritingpro.com/store. It'll link you through there, and you can see what all's available, whatever event I have going on. But
perfect. What a great way to get your song if you're not in the inner circle here, in the inner circle.
Right.
What a killer vehicle for doing that. I mean, like, oh my gosh. Like, I wish I had something like this when I was Thought I was writing songs back in the day. But anyway, all right. Well, killer, man. That brings us to the end of another episode of The C.L.I.M.B. Remember, if you liked what you heard, please share it. Please leave a rating and review. Let us know what you think about it, and try to be clever, because we don't care if you're clever or not. We're going to read it anyway. We'll make you famous. And hey, we're going to do another episode of the Song Title Challenge. So if you're new to the podcast, send in any song title that you'd like, and to info@daredevilproduction.com, info@daredevilproduction.com. It's production is singular, there is no S, and I store all those. I pop them on Brent like in real time, like while we're recording the podcast, and just let him sort of mentally riff out like how he would structure that, and kind of start to lay the blueprint out for some different ways that you could spin that song. It's not a co-write. You retain 100% of the song and everything like that. I'll just give you some different views on it. And to get involved in that, all you need to do is send us along some song titles that you have, some of your best song titles. So there you have it. Anyway, guys, again, thanks for listening. We keep breaking records on the downloads. Super exciting, and we want you to win, man. So keep,
I mess up the intro, you mess up the outro. That's how we do it. It's bounce, yin and yang.
So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the bottom. Oh, crap! Oh, top! See you at the top! Oh, I got cocky.
I got cocky.
See y'all later.